Week 15, back at it. Last week I missed you guys. I apologize for missing. I tested positive for having sick takes, and they've been so good it knocked me out for a week. But I'm back at it. Still a little bit under the weather, but I'm going to persevere. Going to push through here for you guys. Hopefully I give you a better performance than T.Y. Hilton did. So I'm going to try to avoid that, boys. Happy to be with you. Happy to see your faces. We have NFL Robbie with us, rocking Robbie Jeffries, the GOAT himself, the OG, Fantasy Wrath 13. Boys, how are you? We got some questions coming in already. Say what's up, and then we'll jump into it.
So the ugly Christmas sweater memo that I gave to the other gents in this chat apparently didn't pass. They just brought regular winter sweaters. So I will be the one rocking the Christmas spirit until Kev at some point throws on the hat.
To be fair, Robbie, anything Dallas you wear is ugly. So
yeah, that's probably fair, especially this year.
Kev, how are you? How are things?
Well, it's week 15. I mean, I don't know where the fuck this season went, but it's almost over, right? So, motherfuckers trying to win championships this week, Straight cash, homie.
Trying to get in that prize pool. Anything sticking out to you guys just right off the bat?
Well, I mean, people are probably if you're playing Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, you're starting off a little rough. You're going to need some help. Or, Darren Waller. Josh Jacobs played well. Aaron Jones had a really good game. Stephon Diggs played really well. So, Devontae Adams, not so much. Aaron Rodgers was okay.
Yeah, Devontae Adams, and I also started Robbie Anderson in one of my dynasty semis. So, that's going well for me.
Yeah, and then next weekend you get if you make it to the championship, you just get full tilt all weekend, just sweat all weekend because you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of games. So, which let's be honest, I think the Monday game is like the Dolphins and Patriots or something. I know it's the Patriots. I can't remember who they're playing, but whoever it is, it's not a great matchup.
Let's just dive in. We had Jeremy Wells jumping in early. Wants to know T.Y. Hilton or Deontay Johnson full PPR.
Was that T.Y. Hilton shame you were throwing right away, Cody, when you entered?
Me?
Yeah,
shame?
Didn't you have a T.Y. Hilton bash there at the top when you brought us in? I thought you said something about T.Y. Hilton.
He has the memory of a 76-year-old, so he probably doesn't remember.
If I said T.Y. Hilton, I meant Keenan Allen.
Oh, there it was. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense now.
You said T.Y. Hilton. I was wondering what you were talking about. I'm like, he hasn't played yet, so I don't know what we're.
See, I had the listeners on my mind. I was trying to be funny and say Keenan Allen since he didn't perform well. I'm trying to perform well, even though I came in questionable. But whatever. Anyway, let's answer the question. For me, it's T.Y. Hilton. Kev, who you got between Hilton and Deontay?
Deontay.
Of course he does. No, I think you got to go T.Y. here. He had 110 and 1 against the Texans. I don't think he probably gets quite there, but 86 and 2 against the Raiders last week. And going back 3 weeks ago, he had 81 and 1. So he's pretty tough to sit right now. Deontay can be pulled at halftime, as we've seen. So I think it's just
playing the Bengals. Let's pump the brakes there.
It has nothing to do with who they're playing. It has to do with whether he can catch the football.
Yeah, but then once they pulled him, he came right back. Once they pulled him, he came right back in and was continued to get peppered with targets. Like they're not going away from Deontay Johnson.
How did he finish up in that game?
He didn't kill you. So. Well, let's just use the last 2 weeks of sample size to somebody that has been trash all year. Like, I feel like T.Y. Hilton is the biggest trap of this entire weekend. Like, so many people feel so great about playing him, and I don't. I think he can be a monster trap. I think that this could go a lot of different directions, and I'm here for when Michael Pittman goes off for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns today.
Oh, Kev, from our last Sunday night, I'm about Pittman as well. I do not think that T.Y. gets his full complement that he did against the Texans 2 weeks ago. I'm definitely here for Pittman having a better game, but this is a really good matchup, one that they should be back and forth. I really can't predict how this game's going to go. What more could you ask for? Someone who's been playing well, good target share over the past 3 weeks, and a great matchup. There's nothing not to like with Ty.
Boom goes the dynamite. Jason King wants to know Gus Edwards or Wayne Gallman with Freeman potentially coming back start to flex. So let's start with the first one. Edwards or Gallman?
Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I mean it's close there. I'll probably go Gus Edwards. I don't know if this New York Giants offense is going to do much of anything. Gus Edwards obviously has a really good shot at a touchdown. Right behind Dobbins there, still getting work. So I'll go Gus Edwards.
Edwards for me as well. Now we need to start to flex one out of Hilton, Evans, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson. So we need to sit one of those.
Yeah, I'll sit Deontay there.
Kev, I know you really like McLaurin this week. Who are you going to sit out of this group?
T.Y. Hilton.
So is the Deontay more faith in Deontay, or you just think Hilton's gonna have a bust game?
It's a lot of it is faith in Deontay. I mean, the man continues to get peppered with targets. Even like I said, despite the fact that he missed almost a half of football, he still had 7 to 10 targets in that game. Despite the fact that he missed all that time, he's their best wide receiver they have on that roster, and they continue to throw the ball at an insanely high clip. The last month or so, they're throwing it roughly around 70% of the time, which is the most in the league. So I know people will look at this and say, "Oh, well, they're playing the Bengals; they'll just run the ball." Well, they haven't done that, and they continue to not do that. James Conner is banged up. We don't even know if James Conner is going to play in that game. So it's Benny Snell, and I don't know who maybe Anthony McFarland. That's what they should do. They should just give the ball to Anthony McFarland and see what they got there. But regardless of that, his target share is insanely high and his ceiling is insanely high. We've seen it throughout the year. And so for me, I don't mind T.Y. Everything you guys said is completely true. The matchup is fantastic. He just torched his team a couple of weeks ago. But at the same time, I think there's numbers of different ways that this could go wrong. And so I just prefer the guy who typically gets around 30% of the targets out of this back or among all these wide receivers and a PPR format. I can't sit him. And then I'm damn sure not sitting Mike Evans against Atlanta. And I'm not sitting Terry McLaurin, who's going to smash today.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway for Jason. It's you're going Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, then I think you can take your pick between T.Y. and Deontay. They're 3 spots separate in my wide receiver rankings.
Got a rare appearance from Kev's dog coming in.
Oh,
always good when the kids and the pets get involved in the Sunday start sit show. Robbie, you are the de facto defense go-to here. Bucks D or Titans D for Jason?
Yeah, Titans defense has been really suspect. I'll probably go with the Bucks. There's no Julio for the Falcons, which we've seen Matt Ryan just be an absolute turnover machine. He obviously still has Ridley, so they can score, but that running game probably won't get going with Gurley and company. So I'm going to go with the Bucks, and I think they can get some turnovers in that game.
Yeah, it's 100% the Bucks. The Titans aren't getting any pressure. Stafford is playing. I actually like Stafford today. I know people aren't going to want to play him because of the injury, but we've seen that this dude is such a baller. We've seen it before. It's been a couple years ago when they played the Chiefs. It might have been last year whenever they played the Chiefs. And all week it was he's not going to play. He's not going to play. But they never ruled him out. He didn't practice. He didn't even take a rep in warm-ups. And he came out and played. Nobody wanted to play him because of that. And there was reports pregame that he could barely walk. They didn't know how he was going to be able to play. He dropped 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So this dude is a monster, and this is a great matchup. Tennessee's defense is fucking trash, and it's just this sets up for one of the best games of the weekend on both sides because both these defenses are terrible.
Yeah, just to further Kev's point there, Titans are giving up a league-leading 28 passing touchdowns. They gave up 335 and 4 touchdowns to Baker, 295 and 2 to Philip Rivers. So they're making even these mediocre quarterbacks look good. So, yeah, absolutely. Stafford should be in play, even coming off his injury.
Next question coming in from Noel. I actually have this same decision to make, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. Mostert or Wilson? I'm assuming there's going to be more people with this same conundrum after, especially if you went and picked up Wilson off of waivers. Mostert obviously going to play. So who do you guys like here between the two?
I think I would go Wilson. There's just so many things could go wrong with Mostert, and getting the MRI this week on his ankle. Like, would anybody be surprised if he didn't even play? We got very few opportunities here from this backfield. Like, if I'm going to take one, it's going to be Wilson. Wilson was also involved in the passing game. I think you can feel comfortable that he's going to get at least 10 touches in this game. The Cowboys are just terrible and on all sides of the football, and so I would play Wilson here.
But the Cowboys have very loyal fans. That's one thing that they do. They're not terrible with their loyal fans. No, you make some good points about Jeff Wilson. I'll probably stick with Mostert. He's been on the higher percentage side of those touches. Now, the one caveat you can say for Jeff Wilson is he's seen 7 red zone opportunities over the past 2 games. Basically, when he gets 8 or more touches, carries, I should say, he gets 15 PPR points per game. And I just think he's going to be a lock. They've been splitting carries the last 2 weeks, and he's seen about 9 to 14 touches. And so I think he's a lock to get that. And he's scoring a touchdown every single game where he's seen 8 carries. So he's not a bad play either. I'll probably lean Mostert. But Cody, you had said you had this conundrum. I'm actually starting them both. I have Mostert as my RB2 with Gibson out, and then I'm actually slotting in Wilson in my flex. So I'm starting 2 49ers running backs in a Shanahan system against the Dallas Cowboys. Like Kev said, they just give up rushing yards left, right, and center. And so I'm about both of those players.
Both of them?
Can I throw somebody out who's probably widely available that I think people should be playing today? That I think that most people could probably go pick up right now?
Please do.
Sony Michel.
Yep.
Damian Harris is out.
Yep.
It doesn't look like that we're going to see James White is questionable. I don't know if they've ruled him in yet, but he's only rostered in 15% of leagues. They're playing against Miami. He's going to see 15 carries in this game. Yep. Goal line work. Like, I get it. Like, it's kind of a gross play. Like, I don't feel like I'm considering playing him in DFS because he's 4,300 on DraftKings, but you don't feel good about throwing him in your lineup. But he's going to get plenty of opportunities. He gets some pass catching work. He's widely available. I would rather play him than playing like both of those guys you just mentioned. And I've seen some of the other people that have questions. Like there's, I just feel like that with him, at least I know that he's going to get 15 touches.
Yeah, I had Sony on my list of guys that we need to be talking about. And like you said, Damian Harris is out. James White is questionable. JJ Taylor is questionable. He could be the only running back there with Cam. I think there's a good opportunity for a touchdown there. I'll have him below both these other guys just due to matchup. Dolphins are, they're a good defense, better on the secondary than they are against the run. But it's hard to trust the Patriots to do much on offense. I much prefer the 49ers against this Cowboys defense. But yes, Sony's absolutely in play if you need a running back.
Let's real quick hit on Russell Gage or Kiki Kuti, and then we're going to go back to this Mostert Wilson question because we just had 2 come in basically concerning the same thing. So who do you guys like between Gage or Kuti in a full PPR?
Russell Gage.
Yeah, I don't really have strong feelings either way on that one. Cody, I'll defer to you. When there's tough questions, normally Cody slides out. I'm going to slide out of this one and let Cody take one.
I'm going to go Kuti. I don't know. Can't trust Matt Ryan right now. I know Brandon Cooks is back, but this seems to be the matchup that Kuti always smashes. I think what did Matty say on the DFS show? He has 4 100-yard games or 3 100-yard games, and all of them have come. Maybe he has 4 100-yard games and 3 have come against this matchup. I know Cooks is back, but then whenever Kuti has had his big games, has come against zone defenses, then that's what the Colts play. So I do like Kuti here over Gage. We're just going to jump down on these questions a little bit. We'll get to the ones that have that came before this, but since we were already on the topic, we had Tan ask a question, Ahmed or Wilson, and then he followed it up with, should I play both and leave Ahmed on the bench? And then Mark Maloney wanted to know, should I start both Mostert and Wilson and leave Connor on my bench? So just in general, how do you guys feel about this? And then, we can have a discussion about Ahmed and Connor.
The first question I would ask for Mark is Benny Snell available? Because if he is, I would probably prefer to wait and see what happens with Connor and see if Connor plays. I'd only play one of these guys, whether it's Mostert or Wilson. Obviously, I said I would rather prefer to play Wilson, but because I would rather not play both of these running backs. Because if you did, the most you may see from them is what, 10, 12? At least to expect out of both of them, right? I mean, both of them aren't going for 25. That's not happening. And so, I feel like it could be a scenario where one could get 15, the other one gets 6, and it doesn't really work out that way. Is it really worth it at that point? With Connor, if he plays, I think Connor is in a really good spot, obviously, against Cincinnati. And if he doesn't, that's why I think that somebody like Benny Snell, if you can secure him, so you are 100% good to go, you're going to have the starting running back of the Steelers for Monday Night Football, whatever happens. That's the way I would play it out. Now, if Benny Snell is not available, then I guess you start both, because it is risky playing Connor, because right now they're basically saying that he is definitely questionable.
Yeah, I teed up the exact same way. James Conner is somebody I have over Jeff Wilson. They're all kind of really close, like Kev said. The Pittsburgh rushing attack has been really poor the last couple of weeks, but they're just in a really, really good matchup here. I expect whoever's in that backfield to get it going, whether it's Benny Snell or James Conner. So if you have the opportunity to get one of those guys in your starting lineup, I would. Now, going back to Ton's question, that one with Savon coming back, I can see that being a little bit more of a timeshare than we saw previously when Ahmed had a majority of that workload. I do think he's going to split a little bit with Breida and Washington there. I do not have as much confidence in Ahmed. I would play both Mostert and Wilson over Savon Ahmed.
Which is a shame, because this is such a good matchup. Like we talked about it earlier in the week, that New England has been terrible against the running back. Like we just saw Cam Akers smash this defense. They're like 25th in adjusted line yards, 27th in rush DVOA. So it's a really good matchup, but I don't know if I can trust Salvon Ahmed. Now, if we get word that he's starting, I may lean towards him and rather, instead of playing both. I just hate playing both of these dudes. And it's Mostert and Wilson in the same lineup. Because, especially week 15, we're in the playoffs. If you lose, you're out. It's not a high ceiling play to play both of them. So it really would depend on what the other matchups look like that you have. And, are you just looking for some floor here that maybe they both playing both these guys could be fun? But like I said, I feel like there is a chance that Raheem Mostert does not see much opportunity here in this game. They're out. They really don't have a shot at the playoffs. I don't know. I just don't know if I can trust that. They have so many running backs in that backfield as well. Jerick McKinnon, Tevin Coleman. They have so many guys here that it wouldn't surprise me if Mostert sees 5 touches.
Yeah, I would just note that Mostert was not even on the injury report. He practiced in full and was taken completely off the injury report. So I would not feel I don't feel the same way that Kev does there with the worry about Mostert. I do think he leads this backfield in touches with Wilson, maybe with a better shot at a touchdown due to his red zone work over the past couple weeks, which is why I'm a little bit more comfortable playing both of them. But you guys are absolutely right. When you're playing 2 backs from the same team, your upside is limited. So, Tom, if you're behind, if you played some of those guys that Kev listed off the top, it might be a better opportunity to start another back who is expected to get a majority of the touches in Savon.
We got Walito rocking with us in the chat as always. The true TFA fam MVP, Manny Sanders or Godwin. Kev, who you got here?
Godwin.
Jobby?
Yeah, I think you have to go Godwin in a really, really good matchup. I will stump for Manny Sanders real quick. Breeze is coming back. There's obviously no Michael Thomas. There's no Deontay Harris, no Marquez Callaway. It's going to be a lot of Emmanuel Sanders and Traquan Smith. Breeze is coming off fractured ribs. I do not think he's going to push the ball downfield, which he didn't a lot anyways when he was healthy. I do expect them to be a back and forth game against the Chiefs, so I do think there's a lot of passing opportunity. Kamara is going to get peppered with targets. I think Sanders is as well. A lot of short passes to both of those individuals. So I do have Manny Sanders as a top 24 wide receiver this week, but you're starting Godwin in this specific situation.
I like Sanders as well, but the answer to this particular question is Godwin. Tommy Finesse, 96. Davis or Cooks?
Corey Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at him and A.J. Brown, over basically the whole season, the only thing separating them is about 4 touchdowns. They're on pace for receptions and receiving yards. And like I've said at the top, the Lions secondary is league worst down there, I should say, with the Falcons and Seattle originally. So Corey Davis is definitely the play here.
Tam joining us, our ma'am. Tam, Juju or Cooks?
Juju.
That one's closer for me.
I like Cooks here.
I have Cooks 3 spots higher. I do think he's the go-to for Watson, where we're not quite as sure who that go-to is. Deontay, Juju. There's some other options there, and I don't expect the Steelers to have to throw a ton, although they have in the past. Yeah, I might lean Cooks here.
If you guys are checking us out for the first time and you're not yet subscribed, that sweet, sweet Allen Robinson jersey down there is up for grabs to one of our YouTube subscribers. We'll be giving that away on this very show next Sunday. So if you want the possibility to win, all you got to do is subscribe. That's it. Nothing else. Just hit that subscribe button and we will be choosing a winner next Sunday. Charlie Lights is playing from behind, maybe went up against some of those guys that Kev mentioned at the top. So he wants to know Jonnu or Irv Smith.
Definitely Irv Smith.
Irv for me as well.
Yeah, there's not a lot of confidence right now with Jonnu. If you're talking about absolute upside, though, I think he's the more upside play. We've seen him have multiple touchdowns in multiple weeks. I mean, he has 8 touchdowns, and he's probably only played, 8 or 9 games. So we've seen him absolutely go off when he gets looks in the red zone. So I do think he's the much better upside play. Vikings aren't going to throw as much. The Bears, like we said last week, with Jordan Akins, the Bears are the one spot you can attack them is the tight end. So I do like Irv Smith whenever he's been the starter in over Kyle Rudolph, with Kyle Rudolph being out this week. He's normally gotten 4 or 5 receptions for 60+ yards, finds the end zone every now and then. So I do think he's probably the safer play. But if we're talking upside, I think it's definitely Jonnu Smith.
I 100%. I just 100% disagree. I think Irv Smith, this is a fantastic match, but the Bears are absolutely horrendous against the tight end.
Yeah,
they are 30th in DVOA against tight ends. He is somebody that I think he's heavily more involved in the offense than what Jonnu's been. Jonnu, I think only has 1 game over 9 points since week 6 or 7. He's just not being involved in the offense. He's not seeing targets. He's just not being utilized. Now they're using Anthony Ferkshire as well. It's just such a low floor play for him. And he could get you 0. It's certainly in the range of possibility for Jonnu. And I am the ultimate Jonnu. That's my guy.
Your boy.
But they're just not utilizing him. And if they're able to get up quickly and get up early, they're going to use Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's going to smash. Now, Ryan Tannehill is still one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league, what we've seen in the last couple of years, but it's just not a play that I feel that has a massive ceiling. Is it in the range of outcomes that he could score 20? Sure, but I think it's such a low probability of happening that I would just prefer Irv Smith, who also has 20-point upside. Just last week he had 16 in PPR formats, and they were using Conklin a little bit more than what I was expecting, but still the matchups there. The Bears, like I said, have really struggled to contain tight ends all year, and so I just prefer Irv Smith.
Yeah, I guess where I'm hesitating a little bit is I think we saw Irv's upside. He hasn't gotten over 4 receptions this entire season. I think he's capped kind of at that 60-yard mark. They obviously have Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So what you saw last week is his ceiling. Now, Johnny's been coming back from an injury. We have to remember he missed 2 weeks ago. So last week they worked him back in. He had 62% of the snap share. And before his injury, he was up in the 70s, 80s, and 90% snap share. So, yes, he's hard to trust because he was out 2 weeks ago. Then they worked him back last week. You're absolutely right. Lower floor, absolutely. If you want the safe play, I think Irv Smith is absolutely good for 4 receptions and 60 yards. But Jonnu Smith, we've seen when he's involved, Tannehill's absolutely balling out in that passing game. They can score on this Lions defense. I think the better shot at two touchdowns, which obviously is super rare. You're not banking on that, but if you need that, that's Jonnu for me.
I just like this matchup for Irv way better with Kyle Rudolph being out. I would lean Irv because I think he has that floor you're looking for. I think he also has not the ceiling that Smith has, but I think like Kevin was saying, they're working in other tight ends too. And like even when Smith was playing well, they were still doing that. Now they're just doing it more so. At least Chicago does have solid corner play, which might help funnel things to Irv Smith a little bit more. Whereas you can't say that for Detroit. So right. I'm gonna roll Irv Smith there, and we're gonna keep things rolling here. Our guy Brian Hill jumping in, throwing his lineup up on the screen. His bench is Watson. Would you play Watson over Lamar?
No.
Nope.
Sticking with Lamar there. Really the only running back you might consider playing there would obviously be Wilson. Would you play Wilson over Taylor or J-Rob?
No.
I don't really think we're making any changes with the wide receivers either, correct? I'm not going to put in Pittman.
Nope. He's got the best lineup I think that he can. There are some defense.
Is that Manny Sanders at flex? Or is that Miles Sanders at flex?
Yeah, Brian, let us know which Sanders that this is. What were you thinking there, Kev?
Well, if that's Manny Sanders, I would have some interest in both Pittman and DJ Chark. I think DJ Chark has a really good opportunity to kind of bounce back in a big way today with Gardner Minshew back at quarterback. Baltimore's also missing some of their key defensive backs as well. We kind of saw it last week with when Jimmy Smith was out. They really targeted Rashard Higgins a ton. The guy that came in for Jimmy Smith, and I think that you can see the Jaguars do kind of the same thing with DJ Chark, and his rapport with Gardner Minshew is strong, and so I think that Chark is actually a pretty decent play today for people. So
I forgot I have Brian's roster, and it is Miles Sanders.
Oh, then yeah, we're not having any conversation. Yep.
Good luck to you, Brian. Hopefully we see you in here next week. Moving on to Austin, half-point PPR. Start one running back, one flex. Swift, Dobbins, Woods, Hilton.
I'm going to go Swift and Woods. I can't say what Robert Woods. Woods is in a fantastic matchup against the Jets. I really could see the Rams following the same path as what pretty much most teams have been doing against the Jets, and that's just airing it out against them because their secondary is so bad and not really running the ball as much as they as you would typically think they would. We've seen multiple teams do that. So I love Robert Woods. Robert Woods over the last 4 weeks leads this receiving core in targets with 44. I just love Robert Woods. I can't sit him. And then among the running backs with Swift, this is a close one. It's closer because both Swift and Dobbins seem to be in more of a committee role. But I still think with Swift, I just slightly lean more towards him. With Dobbins, I'm worried that once they get down to the goal line, you could either see Lamar Jackson run it in, or they bring in Gus Edwards and let Gus Edwards run it in from the 5, a lot like we have seen last week with Dobbins. So I love Dobbins as well, but I would probably lean towards Swift, and then I'm definitely playing Robert Woods. I just can't sit Robert Woods in this matchup. And for the brand, Robbie, you better not mess this one up.
Yeah, it is really tough to sit Robert Woods, although it's tough not to like any running back facing the Jacksonville Jaguar. I mean, look back at any box score, the starting running back facing the Jacksonville Jaguar goes off, has a touchdown. It's an absolutely smash spot. So I'm actually going to say Dobbins over Swift. I do like Swift. He's going to come back a little bit healthier this week. He actually had a really good percentage of the snaps his first week back against Green Bay. Just didn't have a great game. Only had 50 yards. I think he had like 9 touches. So I like all 4 of these plays, to be honest. So I think it's going to be hard to mess it up. But I'll lean Dobbins over Swift, and I'll keep Bobby Woods in my starting lineup as well.
I'm right there with you. Like, I think it's super close between Swift and Dobbins. And both of them could go awry because, AP. But Darren Bevel seems a little bit smarter than Matt Patricia does. And so, because even with Swift not having necessarily the best guy, I think he still had like 15 fantasy points last week. So, I believe he found the end zone. So he did score a touchdown. But it's just either both these guys could go one different, because I like them both. Like, I love J.K. Dobbins as well. Like, I think J.K. Dobbins is in a great spot, but are they going to commit to him? How much opportunity are they going to give Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram? Which Mark Ingram's kind of been phased out, which is good, but still, but you could say the same thing with Swift. So I think you could really go either way with both these running backs. I guess I just feel a little bit more confident with Swift getting 15 touches, 15 to 20 touches than Dobbins.
I very slightly lean Swift. Like the matchup is a little lower than what Dobbins is, but there is that, like Kev was saying, you have to worry about Edwards, you have to worry about Lamar. He's been running the ball and looking really well doing it over the past couple of weeks. And then what happens if they just jump out to a massive lead? Do we see more Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram being involved in the offense if they start to do that? So I slightly lean Swift, and I'm also going to go with Woods. And if you were into props, Woods' receiving total was only at 58.5 on FanDuel. So love that prop for this week too. Walito, we are not talking about fucking Jerick McKinnon week, so we're not going to be even mentioning that going forward, so you can stop. The Chosen Rose has another Irv Smith question at tight end. Are we going Irv or Colt Mccoy?
Irv Smith.
Whoa, wait, what? Zeke just got ruled out?
Well, thanks for breaking the show, fucking Andrew. Is this for real?
Questionable in practice throughout.
I knew that.
They activated our practice squad running back.
Ian Rappaport tweeted out Michael Gelkin. Looks like he's verified, so it seems legit.
Yeah, he's on the inactive list. Yep. Cowboys PR. So Kev, let's kind of real-time throw it to you. Where would you move Tony Pollard into your rankings? I had Zeke down at running back 19 in kind of a tougher matchup where he's already splitting carries. Now, if it's Tony Pollard and a practice squad player being called up, where do you have Tony Pollard?
Oh, Lord. Son of a bitch. There goes all my DFS lines. Now I got to fucking rebuild.
Kev's got to leave the pod. Back to a 2-person pod.
Shit. So that changed everything. So one, if you're listening, run, not walk, run to your waiver wire and pick up Tony Pollard if he's available. Run to your waiver wire now and get Tony Pollard, because that is he's going to see a lot of touches. He's available. He's at least an RB2 to me. Like, I'm still trying to process this because it's not something I was expecting today. Fuck you, Mike McCarthy, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
it didn't really sound like he was
quick to let you gather some thoughts. ESPN leagues, he is only rostered in 22% of leagues, so widely available. That definitely dropped off. Wasn't he sitting around like the 40% for a while?
Yeah, but I mean, as the seasons went by, then there was, which is weird because like he was somebody that you probably could have played in a pinch, because of how they've kind of been working him up and using him a little bit more in this offense. So he was somebody that, in a real, oh, Lord. Mark Ingram's out too. I just saw that.
Yeah, he only had one snap last week, so I do not think he is a part of that game plan. I think it's a Dobbins-Edwards show for the Ravens.
Getting all this news. So I just now saw too. So on the Jacksonville side of things, Marcus Peters and Jimmy Smith are both out. So that really does some things for the Jacksonville side of things in terms of being able to throw the ball in this game. So I think DJ Chark actually becomes much more interesting of a guy that you could want to look to play because of this. Because really they're going to basically have Marlon Humphrey in their secondary.
And then real quick, Yahoo League's 26% ownership for Pollard. Would you feel comfortable just picking him up and firing him up? Obviously, depending on your options, but maybe for somebody like Tan, who was asking about Ahmed earlier in between the
100%. I would start him over Ahmed. I'm starting him over Jeff Wilson. I'm starting him over Mostert. Like he is going to likely see 80% of the touches, if not more. He's heavily utilized as a pass catcher as well. He's looked explosive in the limited opportunities that he has seen, and like he is a great play. I know they're playing San Francisco. It's not the best matchup, but his utilization, finding somebody like that you're going to be able to plug in and that's going to be able to play likely 15 to 20 touches today is going to be something you're probably not going to be able to find anywhere else. And then I just want to answer. I see you, TN. Should I drop? I guess that's Gio or Anthony Miller for Pollard. Pick. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to pick one, drop Anthony Miller, I guess. So it doesn't really matter.
So then with these bench options for Tan, we're going Pollard there for him.
Yes.
Yep.
Fucking Mandrew coming in, just dropping news, breaking everything, throwing everything into a goddamn tizzy. Back to the chosen rows. So we're rolling Irv
Devontae Parker. Sorry to keep going with this, but Devontae Parker and Gesicki are inactive.
Sony Michel week. Here we are. Sony Michel is going to go out and rush for 150 and 2 tutties today.
What are your thoughts on? We haven't gotten a question, but now that we're kind of on this like waiver wire kind of tangent here, what about somebody like Kev? What was that?
What?
Oh, you just look like your head popped up in your mouth.
I got 1,000 things going on now. Now I'm readjusting.
Real quick before you kind of check out for a little bit. Thoughts on somebody like Lynn Bowden?
I don't think you have any reason to play him now. I mean, unless you just absolutely have to. I get it, but who's he like? Because he plays wide receiver. He's going to play wide receiver. Who you feel comfortable with him? I mean, he's either going to see Stephon Gilmore.
Well, I think you can put him in the running back
Jackson.
spot.
You can, but I'm talking about from the matchup perspective.
Right.
It's one thing facing the Chiefs. It's a whole other thing facing New England, and their secondary is still really good. And so, like, it's Lynn Bowden, against Stephon Gilmore or J.C. Jackson. Like, if you're desperate and you have to play him, fine. But, like, I'm not just firing him in there, like, with any real confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought Parker playing, it looked like he was expected to play. I thought that actually helped Lynn Bowden a little bit more, kind of having Gilmore on Devontae Parker. With him being the main guy, I would say, because Hakeem Grant's, he is what he is. He's that slot wide receiver. I do think he's the best play there, and I think he's flex worthy, Cody, to your question. But, yeah, it's still a tough matchup, so I'm not going crazy about him. I did pick him up speculatively if all these guys were out, and I am starting him in a league where as a flex where I need him. But, it just depends on who else you have.
What about for the flex question for the chosen rows, Wilson or Cutie?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go. So we kind of half answered before Kev broke that news. Irv Smith over Colt Mccoy. Looks like Jimmy Graham's going to go. I know Colt Mccoy has been taken over there, but we already talked about Irv Smith. And then I would probably still go Jeff Wilson. We just talked about Pollard, and obviously he's going to get a lot of the workload. It's still a tougher matchup against the 49ers. I really like both Mostert and Jeff Wilson. If I'm ranking them, I probably still keep Mostert above Pollard, but Pollard will have a lot of work there. And then Jeff Wilson third, but I'm going to have him over QT. Just really not sure what to expect from QT with Cooks back.
I will roll Wilson as well. Moving on, our guy, William Crawford, Shepard or Goddard at flex?
I can't start really anybody from that New York Giants offense. I don't think they move the football that much, honestly. Goddard has at least shown he's got a good target share in that offense. So I will go Goddard there.
Yeah, I think you have to. But by the way, Colt McCoy, what a goddamn career for that guy, huh? How awesome is that? How awesome is that? Just to be a steady, reliable backup, just stacking money and only being called upon whenever you're absolutely needed.
He's the new Chase Daniel. That was Chase Daniel's gig for a while, and now I think he's passed it on. NFC East starting all backup QBs this week.
Already got that one. Garrett Yonker in a standard league. Do I play Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Swift, or J.K. Dobbins? Standard. Standard. I'm going to go with one of those running backs, and we've already had this discussion, so I'm gonna lean Swift.
Yeah, just while you guys were talking about that, J.K. Dobbins has scored the last 3 games: 15 for 70 and a touchdown, 11 for 71 and a touchdown, 13 for 53 and a touchdown. And now he faces Jacksonville. We're really close. We're splitting hairs with him and Swift, but I don't think I can sit J.K. Dobbins. It's going to be him and a little bit of Gus Edwards mixed in. He's found the end zone 3 straight games. Great matchup. I got to go him. Man,
I do. I'm going to take that back. In a standard league where touchdowns become much more important, I do think Dobbins has the higher touchdown upside. So, Garrett, I'm going to go Dobbins there with Jobby. In a PPR league, I would still slightly lean Swift, very slightly, but with the news of Mark Ingram being out, so even if they do get ahead, maybe we see a little bit more Gus Edwards. But they're not just going to bench Dobbins for Edwards for the entire game. But standard, give me Dobbins. And then what about the quarterback question here, Trubisky or Stafford?
Wow, yeah, Trubisky balled out last week, has another good matchup. But, I have these guys really close. I think they're 13 and 15 in my rankings. I have Stafford a little bit higher. If he's going out there, like Kev said, he's normally a baller when he's out there. I'll probably go him in just what's going to be an absolute shootout with 2 defenses that can't stop anybody. As much as we've hit on the Vikings secondary, they finally found their 2 rookie corners, Gladney and Dantzler. And Dantzler's been playing well. He was rough the first 4 weeks, but he was injured for a little bit. And since coming back from the injury, he's played a little bit better. I think A-Rob's still going to be A-Rob and go off, but I think the higher ceiling there is Stafford, who can obviously throw all day in that Lions offense.
The way I would treat this one is if you need safety, I think I would lean Trubisky.
Yeah.
But if you're shooting for the moon, I would go Stafford. And that's how I would determine that play there. In a standard league, Tom wants to know, should I flex Fournette, Cootie, or Wilson?
That's close. If we're talking standard, I think Fournette should get a lot of the work Rojo obviously had. He should get 15 plus carries. So I really like him with his potential to get a touchdown, facing that Falcons defense. Wilson's not far behind him. And then we already had the Wilson QT. So I'd go Fournette, but they're all decent shots, but Fournette I think has the best shot at a TD there.
Kev, I know you guys talked about Fournette on the DFS show. Who do you like here for a flex for Tom? Fournette, Kiki Cootie, or Wilson in a standard league?
I would go Fournette. The amount of touches he could likely see in this game. He's going to get pass catching work. I know it's standard league, but I would lean towards Fournette.
C. Chav needs to flex one of these: Mostert, Wilson, Carson, or Sony.
I'm going to go Carson.
Yeah. Carson hasn't had the volume, but he's super efficient. I think he's really in a similar boat as Mostert and Jeff Wilson, as someone who's splitting a lot of carries. Rashad Penny is activated, expected to play. He's still probably the best shot there. I'll go Carson, but Mostert's right behind him.
That's way closer than it should be.
Yeah, it really is.
Especially with Carson being questionable over the past couple of weeks, a little banged up. Hyde been getting the touches, but like you said, Rob, you're running into the same issue with Mostert and Wilson. Yeah. I'll roll Carson there too, even though I'm not a huge fan of the matchup. Man, that's tough. That should not be that close. Tam wants to know Ben or Goff. This seems to be a question we got a bunch on the quarterback rankings video that we dropped earlier this week. I'm going to go Goff in this matchup. I know Ben has a good matchup as well, but I'm even with Connor being questionable, I just really fear that the Steelers are going to be just absolutely stubborn in their attempts to establish the run game. It's something that in the media we've seen in Pittsburgh for the past 3 weeks. Got to be more balanced, got to be more balanced, got to be more balanced. It hasn't happened. Last week, that entire offense did not look good. Now you have the Bengals coming in. I could just see a scenario where they just stubbornly, whether it's Snell, Samuels, Connor, whoever it ends up being, definitely not Anthony McFarland, Kev, whoever it ends up being, I could just see them being super stubborn and trying to hashtag establish the run. So I'm going to go Goff.
Yeah, what's interesting about that statement is, he's been really good at establishing the run recently with Cam Akers. It's been the Rams. 2 of the past 4 games, Goff hasn't thrown for 200 yards. He is at home versus the Jets, so can he get 2 touchdowns early and get his 150 by halftime, and then they run the second half? Absolutely. Neither of these games are projected to be close. I think they're both double-digit spreads there. Yeah, it's close. I'll probably lean Ben, though.
Kev, Ben or Goff, split the tie.
I think I'm gonna go Ben. It's super close between both of them. Both of them are great matchups. I'm just gonna lean towards Ben.
Appreciate the comments that are coming in, like this one from CMDMARB. Up past that 900 mark on the subs. We appreciate all you guys for real. It's been a lot of fun this year, and also an extra little goodie, that Allen Robinson jersey. All you got to do is sub to win, and we're gonna pick a winner next Sunday on this here very show. Melon Felon rocking the Utah Jazz avatar. It's fucking awesome. Deontay or Godwin?
I'll go Chris Godwin.
I will also go Chris Godwin. Kev, you gonna double down?
I'm gonna go Deontay. I have Deontay at wide receiver 13. So,
where do you have Godwin? Sorry, I
have him at 17.
Okay. So 2 Godwins and a Deontay there for you, Melon Felon. Brian wants to know Wilson or Tanny.
I'm gonna go Tannehill.
Yeah, how are we here?
It feels. I mean, but it's super. Yeah, it's so risky sitting Russell Wilson. The only way that I see this really going sideways is if the Titans run the shit out of the ball. But I think with Stafford playing, I think that really elevates Ryan Tannehill, because I think that they're not going to be able to just run away with this game. I think the Lions can keep this close and make it to where Tannehill has to throw. And not to mention the fact that Tannehill, like I said, has been so efficient as a thrower, and he doesn't necessarily need 40 attempts to get there. He can do it in 30.
Talking to the king of efficiency in Russell Wilson, that is so difficult. They're really similar players, they don't always have the high volume, but they're so efficient. I'm going to stick with the king of efficiency, even on a little bit tougher of a matchup. I got to go Russell Wilson, but I'm starting Ryan Tannehill in a lot of leagues. One, I'm actually starting Tannehill, Henry, A.J. Brown. I'm all about the Titans this week, but I'll go Wilson.
Who are you running it back with? Are you running it back with Marvin Jones or T.J. Hockenson? Or?
No Marvin Jones there.
I will this is super close. I'm going to slightly lean Wilson as well. Brian has another question: Woods or A-Rob full PPR? Robbie, who you got here?
I'll go Allen Robinson. We do like Woods' matchup against the Jets, but A-Rob's been really tough to sit. He's obviously a top 10 play every single week. He's just a little bit more consistent. I'll go A-Rob.
Yeah, I'll go A-Rob. Can you play both, Brian? Can we play both? Is that an option? What are your other? What did he actually? Because I think he's asked who you flexing and who are you playing at the other wide receiver positions?
Yeah, Brian, let us know what your lineup looks like, because that's hard to sit either of those guys. Gino rocking with us. Who should I start? Fournette, J.D. McKissick, or Jeff Wilson? We need one out of that group.
I think this really matters if it's PPR or not. With Haskins starting, it's not quite as big of a dependency on J.D. McKissick as Alex Smith was, peppering him all over the place. But I do think I like McKissick more in a PPR setting. I like Fournette more in a non-PPR setting.
I'm going to go Fournette.
Fournette from me as well. Sanders or Swift in a standard league. A lot of standard questions today.
Miles Sanders, I will go. If it's Miles, which I'm assuming, I'll go Miles Sanders.
Miles for me as well. Kev, stick with your boy Swift.
No, I'm gonna go Sanders here.
Tagore, Sanders or Bowden in another standard question.
Oh, Sanders.
Yeah, either Sanders. If that's Manny or Miles, I will go Sanders.
Trying to get some clarification here for Mark. We need two out of Mostert, Wilson, Connor / Snell, Pollard now in the mix. I'm going to go Wilson and Pollard.
I'm going to go Pollard and the combination of Connor and Snell.
Robbie, who do you like out of this group?
This is tough because you have probably guaranteed workload on Pollard and Connor / Snell's side. You have just a great matchup. Either Mostert or Wilson will probably finish as the top out of all of these guys just with the matchup. It's just trying to pick which one. I'll probably go Mostert and Connor. Very close.
With Pollard, I've not had a little time to really let it sizzle and marinate a little bit with Pollard. He's going to see all of the touches, and he is a terrific pass catcher out of the backfield. So if they fall behind, he's still going to see. He's still going to see a ton of. He could see 5 to 7 targets. If they get ahead, he's going to get the opportunities. If he gets the goal line work, he's going to get the opportunities. So I cannot sit Tony Pollard under most circumstances because he is going to see all of the work.
And that's fine. I think I would rather take 12 touches from Raheem Mostert against that Dallas run defense as opposed to 16, 18 touches from Tony Pollard against the 49ers defense. I'll take 4 or 5 less touches.
Well, so the question for me comes down to the Mostert Wilson side or the Connor Snell side, in my opinion. Not so, because both of them. Because so if let's put it this way: let's say if Connor's ruled out and Snell plays, the Steelers are fucking weird, and Snell could end up seeing 10 touches, and Anthony McFarland could see 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jalen Samuels could see 8. Like, it's not guaranteed work for Snell. The better situation is if Connor's rolled in, but as we've seen with them, they also like to use Benny Snell in that situation once they get down to the goal line and take away his opportunity. And you probably aren't projecting like a high number of targets either, because if they're throwing, you probably are looking at Juju and Claypool and Deontay over Connor there. So for me, if I'm leaning, like if you're wanting to talk about absolute ceiling, it would probably end up having to be Pollard and Mostert probably have the highest ceiling of this group.
Yeah, I think you pick your 49ers back because we're talking semifinals. You're facing another good team who's going to score a lot of points. You're looking at who can get touchdowns. And out of all those guys, I think Pollard's going to have the toughest time probably getting a touchdown. That's why he's just a little bit lower for me. I definitely want to start Mostert or Wilson. I'll let people take their pick there. I like Mostert a little bit more. If Connor's playing, I'll probably go Connor over Pollard. But you're right. There's no doubting Pollard will probably see 16-plus touches. So, that's never bad.
Yeah, Pollard, and then flip a coin on the 49ers running back that you want to roll with. Whoever you feel more comfortable with is the way that I would go with that. Kicks for Mike. Standard. Man, all these standard questions. Kev, I know you like both of these guys this week. Who do you like at receiver between Ayuk or Scary Terry?
McLaurin.
Jobby.
Yeah, that's so close. I think the reason we have hesitation right now with Terry McLaurin, he's coming off 2 bad games. But when he had Haskins as a starting quarterback the first 4 weeks, he dominated. He was wide receiver 10 at the time. He faces DJ Reed in the Seahawks secondary for probably most of his matchups. And he's been bad. He's 62nd in PFF cornerback rankings. So I do really like Terry McLaurin in this, but Ayuk has been absolutely on fire. You can't go wrong in this. Cowboys have given up 100 yards or a touchdown probably every single week. It's at least been the last 4. It's really close. I'll go TMC.
I would go Ayuk, but obviously it doesn't matter since you've got both you guys run McLaurin. And then for the flex, Miles or Swift, standard.
Or Ayuk.
Mm-hmm. '2021 needs to be the year of get rid of standard non-PPR leagues.
You better watch me talking. There's people that really love their standard performance. I'm not a fan of standard, but I think I've come around more on the fact that probably half point PPR is probably the happy medium between them. Mm-hmm. Because I get where people get pissed because a guy could have 8 receptions for 30 yards. And no touchdown and have a great game. But then a running back can go out and rush for 100 yards and have less and no touchdown. But even though on paper that 100 yards is obviously a better game than the guy who had 8 for 30, which the fantasy points the way it works out. So I think half point PPR is probably the happy medium between them. Because I get it. Because people are like, it's bullshit. A guy catches the ball for a 3-yard loss, but then they get a point out of it.
Yep. Man, it's close.
Who are we putting in the flex?
Yeah, I'll go Miles Sanders. He found the volume last week with Jalen Hurts behind center. I think he's probably going to have the most touches out of all of them.
Big T needs a big score here, projected to lose by 36. You going Ben or Breeze?
If you're shooting for stealing, you go for Breeze. And hope that this game goes nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
Does it change your opinion at all with Deontay Johnson needing the being one of his options here at wide receiver? Would you go with the stack, or are you still going to go Breeze and pick one of these other ones between Hilton, Deontay, and Landry?
No, I would go Breeze and then go Deontay.
Yeah, that's I don't mind the stack thought, because if you're down by 36, I have to know who's on the rest of these teams. But if Ben and Deontay find the end zone. I think that's helping you recover that a lot easier. That's the one time I would, advocate for stacking these guys. But just normally you're just trying to play the best guys that's going to score the most points. And I will go Breeze. And then what Johnson are we looking at? Deontay Johnson. I'll go Hilton. Yeah, I'll go Breeze and T.Y. Hilton.
I agree with Jobby there. Justin Barker, Russell, or Hurts. And the little caveat, Justin has the Washington defense.
You know what I would actually do here? I would start Russell, and then, Washington, you obviously don't want to go your quarterback against your defense. I think the Cleveland Browns are really sneaky. I've already said a couple times. I don't think the New York Giants are going to move the football much at all with Colt McCoy there. Evan Ingram's been banged up. They have 9 passing touchdowns on the entire season. They have 20 turnovers in 13 games. They give up sacks. They're third most in sacks given up with 41. I think you're any defense that plays a backup quarterback, especially in the Giants who turn the ball over so much, is going to be a good defense. I would look to pick them up.
Kev, who you like here?
Russell.
Another Russ question. This one, Wilson or Tanny?
Yeah, we already had that one. They're really close. I'll lean Wilson, but I like them both.
D-Hop or Ridley? Kev, who do you like out of those receivers?
Hopkins.
Yep.
Tan giving us some news this time. Upgraded Ahmed from questionable to healthy. So, you're still going to go Pollard there in that situation like Tan had already mentioned. Already played Diggs. Okay, this one's coming from Brian whenever he was asking between Woods and A-Rob. Already played Diggs and Eckler. Henry at running back.
Yep, I'd roll A-Rob there.
Here we go. One from Jeremy, Pollard or Monty?
That's David Montgomery. He's a top 10 play.
Goddamn right he is. Kev looks like he is in some physical pain over this question. So good job, Jeremy. Kev,
fear not. We are going David Montgomery. He's absolutely smashed with 22-plus PPR points the last 3 games. Since Tariq Cohen's gone out, he's number 1 in snap share at the running back position. Even if you like Pollard getting all the work, David Montgomery gets all the work. Great matchup against the Vikings. Absolutely David Montgomery.
that Santa Claus hack just gave Jobby a little boost there. Came in fucking firing. Must be. I might need to get me one. I would like to sound more like Jobby. Don't do it.
Said
Kev.
no one. Said no one ever.
Kev, don't do it. Just say Monty and let's.
The only reason you like Pollard is the workload. Montgomery gets the same workload, has a much better matchup. It's not close.
I mean, I don't know about that. It's definitely close. But what did we see last week? Where you would have thought that David Montgomery would have had 25 touches, and he ended up getting. You don't run the ball when you have that kind of a lead, and they just continue to chuck. He had the 1 carry for 80 yards, and then after that, I'm going David Montgomery, but it's much closer than what you're trying to make it out to sound.
You're trying to make an 80-yard run sound poor. You can't take away.
I'm certainly not taking anything away from him.
It was weird that happened.
Yep.
That he had he only had maybe 5 carries after that or something like that.
I'll say this too. It is Montgomery. I do like Pollard,
okay,
but it is Montgomery. And if you look at Minnesota, they're 20th in rush DVOA. San Francisco 7th in rush DVOA. So obviously it's a better matchup for Montgomery, but I think it's closer than what you're letting on. But it's still Montgomery.
All right.
Pick one. Godwin. Thielen, need high ceiling, can't flex. Thanks.
That's my favorite spelling of Thielen I've ever seen in my life. I love the Thielen.
I'm going Thielen.
with Justin Jefferson playing slot a lot more, I think Thielen sees a lot more of Kyle Fuller, who's the best corner for the Bears. I think this is probably a Justin Jefferson game. I will go Chris Godwin against the Falcons.
Super Wings is coming on.
I'm going to be no help, and I am going Hilton.
Stop it.
Where was your TY? Where was
Play
the TY before?
For high ceiling?
Oh my gosh. Get out of town.
What ceiling has Godwin shown recently?
I didn't say anything, but I said Thielen. Thielen's the play. Kyle Fuller is not he's hashtag not good, okay? We can stop with the Kyle Fuller narrative.
Say that again?
I said Kyle Fuller is not good.
Kyle, what are you talking about? Kyle Fuller is a top 10 cornerback in the league.
You want me to pull it up? I'm gonna pull it up. Let's pull this up.
Yeah,
I'll pull up.
Pull up. We'll keep rolling. We got
rolling, and I'll report back.
The de facto defensive question coming to you, Robbie: Ravens or Seahawks?
Ravens. Ravens, absolutely.
I'm gonna go Seahawks. In that one, especially with the Ravens missing those corners. Dwayne Haskins is fucking god awful. Give me the Seahawks there. They've been playing better on defense as of late, especially with Adams coming back and Carlos Dunlap being healthy as well. JR is holding it down for us over on Twitch. Drake or Fournette?
Edmonds is playing, I believe. Is that correct? We haven't seen that he's been inactive, or they're probably a later game anyways. I will go Drake. I don't love it. Drake's really just found the end zone, which has been his saving grace. He's been splitting a lot of work with Edmonds, which he has all year. But since coming back from injury, he's been a top 10 back. I'll go Drake.
Okay. Here's your great Kyle Fuller. Okay, he is on the season. He has allowed 50 receptions, 653 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He ranks, that is the receptions, that is 60th in the league. The yards allowed is 64th in the league, and the touchdowns is 63rd in the league. Kyle Fuller has been trashed all year. Okay, so get out of here with your Kyle Fuller takes.
And take that Santa Claus hat off while you're at it.
He's allowing, he's also allowing 11.2 fantasy points per game.
Doesn't sound like a very high ceiling to me.
I mean, regardless, 1.6 fantasy points per target.
Okay, now do the Falcons cornerbacks and tell me Godwin isn't a better play.
The problem with Godwin, though, is how much they distribute the targets between all of the options that they have. That's why Godwin's ceiling has been capped, and we haven't been seeing the Godwin-type ceiling game.
And we won't, and that's why the answer is Hilton for you, Lucius. If somebody else wants to help, see, my guy Lenny, this might be a burner. I don't know. My guy Lenny always coming through. Hilton's ceiling is the highest. That's
just Cody's. That's his other one that he uses in the chat, and then he just throws them in there whenever he tries to flex.
Well. You gotta get it in somehow. JR's, I'm gonna go Fournette there. Kev, who do you like between Drake and Fournette? Robbie's going Drake.
Drake.
No, fuck me then. Jeremy, appreciate you. Now here's kind of just like a general, I guess, theory question. Would you go, depending on who you're going up against AJ Brown? Brian had the question with Tannehill earlier. Would that make you put somebody like Tannehill in with your opponent having one of the pass catchers?
No, because it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't give you any sort of it doesn't do enough to help you out. Like, so let's say Tannehill throws for 202, and one of those goes to AJ Brown, and AJ Brown has 100 of those yards, right? Is 200 yards passing and 2 touchdowns going to be enough? Probably not, right? So, like, he has to go off in that situation. So it can still not really help you to sit here and play that guy. And not to mention the fact with A.J. Brown that it's not somebody that, like, A.J. Brown isn't he's like Tyreek Hill, right? Like, he can get there off 4 receptions or, where, he's not somebody that needs to be peppered with targets. So I don't think so, no. I don't think it really matters.
J-Rob or Monty?
This also is much closer. So we look at Baltimore and say, "Oh, it's a bad matchup." But with having Gardner Minshew back there, really, really helps James Robinson from a target perspective, because he targeted James Robinson a ton whenever he was starting at quarterback. And so I think that helps him in the PPR aspect of him seeing targets in this game. They're going to be trailing. They're going to need to see targets. And we've seen James Robinson, regardless of matchup, play really well. Yeah, that being said, I think I would still go David Montgomery, but I was meaning that more towards people that have James Robinson that are wondering if they should play him or not because they're playing Baltimore. I don't think it's that bad of a matchup for him. And the added in of Gardner Minshew really helps.
Yeah, again, this is not close. This is David Montgomery. He has 14 receptions. You want to talk about getting passing work? David Montgomery, 14 receptions past 3 games. He's been a good PPR back. He's absolutely balling. James Robinson, interesting enough, had his lowest snap share. Dare Ogunbowale started working in there as the pass catching back as well. Devon Ozigbo only had 6 snaps but had 4 targets. I do think he's being kind of pushed out of that receiving back role a little bit, something to monitor. But you're absolutely starting James Robinson. This is not a sit James Robinson. Not close between him and Montgomery.
Monty for me as well. And this is how
besmirch James Robinson on this fucking channel, okay? James Robinson has been the league winner of the season. And it's not close. There's not a discussion about anybody else. No, there is nobody else. He is the league winner of 2020. The man has balled this year.
Yep,
and
absolutely. What are you doing for me this week?
Finishes of, let's see. Let's just go through real quick. 9, 4, 9, 2, 5, 3, and 4 of all these weeks. He has never finished. The worst week he had was he finished at RB 29. That's the worst he's ever had all year, despite the fact that this offense has been fucking trash all year. He continues to produce. So to say that it's not close is ridiculous, and you should take that back.
Why do you hate David Montgomery? David Montgomery is everything you want James Robinson to be this week. He's getting all the pass work. He's getting all of the rush work.
David Montgomery actually is, as a real football player. Okay,
you will not fucking besmirch David Montgomery on this channel, sir.
Take my hat.
David Montgomery is. He probably won't even be playing for the Bears next year. Okay.
Good.
Great. Good. Give him behind a good offensive line.
You say that like it's a bad thing, and this is just proof that this is not my burner, because I would never roster DJ Moore. So we can keep moving on.
Not roster DJ Moore.
We can keep moving on.
Cody doesn't like good players.
From that conspiracy, hey man, Sammy Watkins and David Montgomery for the win. Brian Montgomery, Brian Messenger, we appreciate the sub. If you're also watching and not yet sub, please hit that subscribe button for us. We really appreciate it. Getting into the final 15 minutes here. Our guy Ray joining us. We need one between Cooper, Manny, and Corey Davis.
I mean, it's going to be Corey Davis for me.
Standard.
But Sanders is right there. I really like Sanders this week. I already said he's a top 24 wide receiver for me, but it's Corey Davis against the Lions. I'm a little bit lower on Cooper this week. He's going to match up against Sherman or Emmanuel Mosley on the outside. I think it's a CeeDee Lamb week. We haven't talked about the Cowboys pass catchers a lot. I think it's a CeeDee Lamb week.
No, me too.
Yeah, he's going up against a 4th string corner. I do think he is the best play there.
I would lean Davis as well. We need a tight end here for Ray too. Eric Ebron, Irv Smith, or Logan Thomas. Again, standard league.
Irv. Let Irv swerve this week.
Let him play, and then he can swerve. Ray's opponent has Russ, Hopkins, Kamara, Hines, Woods, Waller, Hilton, Koo, and Miami's defense. So with that in mind, we doing anything differently with, still rolling Corey Davis. I think he does have the highest ceiling in that group. And then do you still like Irv over, to me, it'd be between Irv and Eric Ebron, not really considering Logan Thomas with Haskins being back. Robbie, who do you like between Irv and Ebron?
I like Irv. Ebron's third for me. I like Irv the best here.
You would play Logan Thomas over Eric Ebron?
Yeah, I think it's a different team than we saw the first 4 weeks. Logan Thomas is, I think, kind of established himself a lot more in the recent weeks.
And now Dwayne Haskins is coming back to smash your fucking dreams. Listen, you will not find anyone who's talked more about Logan Thomas than I have all fucking year long. But he is third on this list. And I would, for ceiling, I would consider Ebron, but I am going to roll Irv here as well. Speaking of ceiling, Patel needs a high ceiling. Akers or Swift in a PPR. Kev, I know you like both of these guys as well. Who are you going with in a PPR between Cam or DeAndre? And Patel needs that high ceiling.
I'm gonna go Swift.
I'm definitely going Cam Akers. I think we saw Cam Akers ceiling, and it's
Which
very
was
good.
how many fantasy points?
It was very good.
Well, how many fantasy points was it?
It was 19.4 fantasy points.
I hope that's not a ceiling. It better be higher than that. Listen, I like Cam Akers a ton, but the Jets' run defense has still been really good. They're 7th in rush TVOA. They've only allowed one 100-yard rusher all season. I go between is that because that their pass defense has been so bad that teams are just like, no, we're just gonna chuck it on you, and that's my concern with Cam Akers is, do they see the type of volume that we're looking for? I know what they've done the last couple of weeks, but when you look at the Patriots, you run against the Patriots, and so that's what they did. You do not really try to air it out against it. This is a complete opposite situation where this is a team that you want to just chuck it, right? And so that is my concern with Cam Akers, that Cam Akers could see 12 touches today. And so versus Swift and PPR, who I know, regardless of how this game turns, he is going to be involved. Whether it's for pass catching work, he's not going to get game scripted out. And so that is why that I think Swift has the higher ceiling than what Akers is. I love Cam Akers. But for just, if I'm looking for absolute ceiling, I'm going to go Swift. That's, and I think that's why I lean towards this.
Yeah, I think we hit it early on that Swift is just kind of sharing a little bit more than Akers has the past 2 weeks. I think Akers has shown that, we've finally seen him take over that offense. And so ceiling against the Jets, I think they'll pound the rock with him. He's shown that he can do 20 plus.
It's just not something teams have done. That's not what teams have done this year to them. I mean,
yeah, I think it's more of the offense of what the offense can do. And I think this offense has shown that they want to run through Cam Akers.
Or was that just a case of going up against New England, who's had one of the worst run defenses all year? I love Akers. You're not
and Arizona. I mean, we got to go back to since he's taken over, and even kind of his breakout week. He had 10 touches in his breakout week 12. Then he had 21 rushes and a catch. Then he had 29 rushes and 3 catches last week. So, Swift is a fine play. This is not an anti-Swift. If we're splitting hairs, though, Akers has a much better chance of getting 20 plus 25 touches. Swift would need to catch 5 or 6 and score to be in Akers' realm for me.
Which I think is which
he can do. Yeah. Which he can do. Yes.
I'm going to split the vote. I'm going Swift there. We have another James Robinson question. We also have Aiden giving you some props, Kev, for
Thank you, Aiden. Let's go. James Robinson.
J-Rob,
Put some
respect.
respect on that man's name.
Having said that, J-Rob or Drake?
James Robinson.
Yeah, this is James Robinson. This is James Robinson you're starting.
Listen, since week 1, Robbie has hated
You're starting. I said you're starting. I said it's not close between him and Monty.
This man has
Which is
hated
not
James
close
Robinson.
between him and Monty.
Okay. Put some respect
Kev,
on that man.
do you have any inclination that James Robinson will score more than David Montgomery this week?
It's certainly in the range of possibility for sure.
Would you be willing to put money on it?
What are we talking here? Well, let's what are we talking?
We're talking putting U.S. currency on who scores more.
How much?
PPR.
Let's get this over with. How much?
We'll do a 20 spot.
Kev, your response. Looks like Kev's about to have a Jordan Akins moment. I'm gonna drop the ball here with the sun in his eyes.
Let's do an Abby bet. Let's do an Abby bet.
I think we already have one of those, and you're going to owe me it because Keyshawn Vaughn is slightly behind Jojo.
That's already lost. But that's for first 3 weeks. This is for this week.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
There we have it. Avatar bet on the PPR points. Lenny, just throwing this up here. I just want to touch on this quick. I think that's more of a case of who the Seahawks have faced. I wouldn't read too much into that. But I do think the Seahawks defense has been playing better, but I don't think that's the Seahawks defense just on their own locking guys down. But in this matchup with Haskins, that I'm more worried about Haskins in this matchup than McLaurin, because I think the Seahawks are going to be able to get after him and cause some turnovers. Kev, Walida wants to know where you have JT ranked this week, and he also wants to know where you have Trent Richardson ranked.
Oh, yes, Walida. Bring it.
As we mentioned before, if you go back and look, I believe Trent Richardson has out at his rookie year Jonathan Taylor has not surpassed Trent Richardson rookie year yet, so he's got a long ways to go to be able to pass Trent Richardson rookie year. But that being said, I do have Jonathan Taylor as a top 7 back this week. And anybody with eyes could tell you that that is not lying to themselves would not say that if you went back 3 or 4 weeks ago to tell me that Jonathan Taylor didn't look like a bust and did not look good. And those are the fantasy analysts that I would want to listen to, not the ones that get caught in take lock and don't ever want to move off the take because that's somebody who they like. Sometimes you gotta, as they say, hashtag drop the nuts on the table and be willing to put the takes out there. And so, look, Jonathan Taylor bounced back, but about a month ago, he looked lost. He had no vision. He couldn't, he couldn't find a hole to save his life. And I was a big Jonathan Taylor guy. I had Jonathan Taylor as best running back in this class. So it's not that I don't like Jonathan Taylor. I just call it like I see it. I don't got no hashtag flimsy takes.
Nuts on the table, flimsy takes, finding holes. Would you ever think about starting Corey Davis over McLaurin this week, Kev?
No.
Robbie?
I wouldn't. I don't think that question should be out of the realm of things that you would consider, but I'd go McLaurin still.
Robbie, the defensive guy, is Indy the best defense, or do you have another suggestion? Apparently, you're the best.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Brian. I think Indy is a safe defense. The last 2 weeks they put up double-digit points, so I think they're fine. If you want to go out and try and go boom, if you're behind, like I said before, the Cleveland Browns have a really good matchup against the Giants. I think they're probably available in most leagues. I think they will get a lot of turnovers, and I don't see the Giants scoring a ton of points.
Yeah, I think I would go Cleveland over Indy if they're available this week. Kareem Hunt over Carson.
Not for me. I know that's for Kev, but
well, that's because I answered this question in the Twitter DMs. He posted his roster, asked if you would make any changes, and I said I would consider going Hunt over Carson.
Are you impostoring? Are you trying to be an imposter and try to? Did you put my name out there on it? Trying to.
Hey, I got to first. Early bird gets the worm.
Like, any ones he doesn't know, he's like, I'm just gonna put Kevin's name on this and be like, oh, Kevin said this.
No, all I said was I. There was no Kev. There was no signature at the bottom of the email. I just said I would consider going Hunt over Carson just solely based on the matchup.
I would go Carson. It's not your fault, Ashton. It's all Cody. Okay.
Well, fuck you guys. Let's move on to the next one. Mr. Miles Sanders, Monty Thielen, half PPR, pick 1.
You know where I'm going.
I don't. So who is it?
David Montgomery.
Let's go. Kev. Kev.
Montgomery.
Yes. Dobbins over Akers.
Yeah. Close, but yeah.
I think I would, based purely on matchup.
Akers or Carson?
Akers.
Yeah, I'll go Akers there as well.
Landry, Pollard, or Gallman in a full PPR coming from Coach Dish?
Pollard.
Yeah, I'll probably lean Tony Pollard there.
Breeze or Brady from the Jelly God?
I'm going to go Tom Brady.
Kev, who you like here?
Brady.
Damian wants to know Mostert or Corey Davis at the flex?
Davis.
That's very close for me. That's very close. I'm probably going to lean Corey Davis, though.
I would lean Corey Davis as well. I think it's going to wrap it up. We are all caught up on the questions. We appreciate you guys. We will be going live tonight. Or Kevin, we can do waivers tonight.
Yeah. I think we could have a more macro conversation, right? Like maybe lean out a little bit, kind of take a look. Because, as we've talked about, look what happened today. I mean, injuries can happen, all kinds of things. I just really, I say we it's not going to be as long of a conversation, and it's not going to be as long of a list. But I think that we can at least talk about some guys because we could have some injuries today, and stuff like that, and then with COVID and everything else, So I think we could.
So there you have it. We will be live tonight looking at some waivers. Hopefully there won't be any injuries to talk about, but we will be doing that as well. If you have not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Going to be giving away that Allen Robinson signed jersey next Sunday, December 27th, during the beginning of this here very show. Alexa sliding in, flex, Fournette, Godwin, Deontay Johnson.
Deontay.
And I will go Chris Godwin.
Hey, come here.
I think if you need upside, you do go Deontay Johnson. If you need safety, I would go Fournette, just based on volume. Upside Deontay, safety, go Fournette. Appreciate you guys. Good luck in Week 15, and we hope to see you back here next week. Well, if you want your shot to win the jersey, you better be back here because we're not going to let that thing hang around for too long. Just went over 900 subs. We appreciate you guys. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you all tonight.